It was a monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. Mr. Brightside is on the docket. We talked about throwing groups of 2 bass drum strokes where the last stroke is in the bass drum. It always has to be that way. There can't be any gray area. It is what it is. It's going to help your consistency in these 8th-note bass drum patterns. We talked about not going through Wisconsin to get to Indiana, getting from the snare to the hi-hat. Hey, this is just here. Plenty of time. And rebounding left hand, playing on top of the cymbal, transitioning some of the responsibility to the fingers in the back, and picking up off the cymbal instead of playing on the shoulder. That's a little bit more of an advanced rebound type of idea. But when the rubber meets the road, you just simply have to play in time. So whether you're using the bounce or not using the bounce, the metronome will be the ultimate judge of that. Maybe start with something like this. Right hand, if the right hand's clean, chances are the left hand's going to be just fine because the right hand or left hand listens right. That's the verse groove. We talked a lot about the fills that showed up. There's always a transition in the verse to the pre-chorus where it goes from tight hats, honest to God tight hats, to kind of opens up and gets a little bit sloshy with a big 8th note fill leading in. There's a lot of hands to feet. So this sound, and this sound in any order. Groups of 3s, groups of 2 8th notes. You could, I'm sure there's a certain amount of combinations you can come up with that, but it is certainly more than 10. So feel free to explore a little bit with those sounds, and this is totally fine too. You can don't be afraid of consistency in sound either. Quarter notes. You can spice up a little bit, but as long as that quarter is unaffected and 2 and 4 is pretty much stayed alone, keeping there. Some spice with the ride cymbal crashes. Chorus sounds just fine. During the second chorus, he breaks away from the regular groove and opens up the dotted quarters. Open up. But if you can phrase to the snare drum hits, that would be cool. So either if it's something like this, as long as it's washy, it can't be this. Because then that would draw a lot of attention to the drummer, like, okay, what's he doing? Instead of more of a groove sound.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to also fill in the other 8th notes around those hits. So there's a lot got quarter notes going on. Forget there's something else I'm missing. Play in the style of the tune.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get overly romantic with being Mr. Verbatim and can play tunes back with ultimate accuracy. Because when it comes time for you to play, to jam with somebody else, you don't want to be the guy that says, well, I know Mr. Brightside, like, but I can't do anything else, like, so, not like, I mean, I'm just painting an example here, but, yeah, don't be afraid to go outside the lines, but using the same words that are in the tune.
Cool. And then Black Sabbath.